Today we're going to be talking about how expensive it is to even rent nowadays. We're going to be going through some examples that we see from other people, kind of react to their stories, give some thoughts of my own. Let me know in the comment section how you guys are surviving. Honestly, my whole paycheck pretty much is going to rent, so unfortunately I'm going to have to relocate. But anyways, let's get straight into the video.
Okay, so this apartment has no floors, so just watch your step.
This unit is beautiful. I'd never live in it, it's a shithole, but it's perfect for someone like you. So you could fit a queen size bed in here if you put it in vertically.
This place is beautiful exposed brick and exposed wires.
The outlets actually aren't on the walls, they're on the ceiling.
This is the second bedroom, so a lot of space.
So there is a live-in super, he will be your roommate.
There's no heat in the apartment, but there is a hot pipe.
Stove, master closet.
This is a two-story walk-up, then there's a ladder. The stairs are a little crooked, so to shift your weight.
You're very lucky, because they're only asking $1K a week.
This place is massive, but like I said, no doorknobs.
Hi, I'm looking for a studio apartment.
Oh man, like the thing is, normally I'm like, oh, it's worse in the UK, and I feel like I can get away with that a lot of the time. But when it comes to renting in the huge, like major top cities, I do know the US is more ridiculous. New York being a great example. I think LA and San Francisco also are kind of on that level. Not great. Yeah, I've heard a lot of bad things about just basically what you can get for your money, and then you can end up paying $4, $5, even $6,000 a month in rent. Absolutely insane. Like in London, it is expensive, and obviously the salaries are kind of lower. But I feel like it's still doable. It's not ideal, but it's doable. Whereas in New York, it actually seems like borderline absolutely ridiculous.
I can afford the $1,000 a month rent. I can put first and last month's deposit down. I have a good credit score, good background record. I also have never been evicted. Yeah, well, you need to make 3 times the rent every month. So, I mean, I make close to it, but I don't make $3,000 plus every month. Well, looks like you can't be here then.
Yeah, I still need to look up that like rule for the 3x a month like salary to rent ratio, which I guess is the rule. And like I said on the previous video, I think it's a 2x in the UK, so it's a lot more doable. Now, granted, you could say this rule is in place so people don't over leverage, they can definitely make rent, all that stuff. But I think especially for somebody starting off in their career, maybe in their 20s, or even just on like a lower wage job, or somebody who didn't choose like the most financial route and wanted to do something maybe they enjoyed at a lower salary, right? They can live on that lower income and still pay rent. You know, they can do it. So I think it's a bit unfair to just straight up just not let them rent. And obviously they can't buy either. So what, they just can't do it, I guess? It's not a great system.
So let me get this straight. We can't afford rent because rent prices are increasing so much to push us out to buy homes. But the interest rate is so high, you can't buy a home. And also you're not going to get funded for a home because of your debt to income ratio. So then what? And then homelessness or houselessness is becoming criminalized. So then what? I don't understand. To be honest, I really like the idea of building a commune, you know, aside from like the culty aspect of it, but essentially buying land, driving vans, building a tiny houses on it, and everyone shares.
The idea of a commune, I guess, is kind of appealing in this day and age, just with how ridiculous, like, just like living the traditional life is. I still think it probably has a lot of flaws that people don't think about. But to like talk about just renting and like buying a place, yeah, it is just very, very unattainable. I suppose the part of that is even to do the commune, you have to buy land, which I mean, you have to get money for that somehow. And then you probably have to pay some sort of taxes every year to even have the land. So I don't even know if you can go like completely off grid, as they call it. But, you know, nice idea in theory. Although in the US, I think land, especially like rural land, is quite cheap just because there's so much of it. So hey, maybe it is doable. But yeah, in terms of renting and living or buying a house, there's no real good answer, right? That's the sad reality. Is it's not like I can just like, you know, watch the TikTok and then just be like, well, just do this. Not really that easy, unfortunately.
What the fuck is going on? This is my first time
Yeah,
trying to look
LA.
for housing in Los Angeles. I'm a native LA resident. I was born and raised here, And I've been living in my rent-controlled house with my family my entire life. Now, I work a normal ass job. I make above minimum wage at one of my jobs. I have obviously multiple, like every other freaking young person trying to survive in this world. One of my jobs is minimum wage. The other is like $18 an hour. And together they add up to full-time work, both jobs. Why the fuck? Like on average, if I work full-time, I make like maybe like 1,500 every 2 weeks. So it's like 3,000 a month max, because my hours vary. 3,000 a month max. I'm literally I can't afford any of these apartments.
Yeah, I do think like minimum wage, that's definitely like one benefit of the UK. I feel like the minimum wage is quite high, and like you're not going to be having a fun time, but you can get by on those low salaries in the UK. Whereas it seems like in the US, it kind of just that scale is bigger, right? So in the UK, it's a lot more condensed, like the tiers. Whereas in the US, you can be insane and earn like 500k a year if you're like an absolutely insane like software engineer or something, or like insane in finance, right? Whereas the low is really low. And if you're on like those kind of minimum wage, I think you get eaten alive in these cities, to be honest. I just don't understand.
Apartment is $3,080 a month? What the fuck? How do I buy food if rent is already more expensive than how much I make in a single month? I don't understand. That's a one bedroom.
I'm here.
To be fair, there is one bedrooms in London as well that like are higher than my salary. So yeah, if I wasn't splitting with my partner, I wouldn't be paying rent here. Let's just say that.
Behind you, look. Behind you.
I'm not going nowhere.
I'm behind you.
Girl, bye.
I am right behind you. Don't be scared.
That's a pretty good TikTok, I can't lie. Real though. Like if there's a haunted house discount, that might be the play.
You better go on somewhere.
I just want to play a game with you. Hey.
I'm 25 years old and I'm still living back at home with my parents.
Also, man, if my parents lived in London, best believe I would not be moved out right now. Definitely, if you're single, 100%, and like you can stay with your parents, absolutely advocate for it every day of the week. If like that's a good environment, because obviously if your mental health is like cooked, you might have to anyways. But if you're in a situation where you get on with your parents, they're in a location where you can actually get a job relative to your field, you gotta accept that every day of the week. Like it's so worth it. And a lot of people don't even realize till they move out how good they really had it. So definitely something I recommend.
Yo, listen, my man in this video is going to win in life. Everybody wants to flex on the internet, Instagram, and show like this luxurious lifestyle that they're living. But the reality is, a lot of that stuff is fake. Listen, rent prices are freaking crazy right now, right? Inflation is an all-time high, and jobs are not trying to pay what people need to actually survive out here. So listen, if you're able to like move back home with your parents and save a bunch of money and start investing it, oh my God, you can literally change your life.
Yeah, because there's so many like extra benefits of that. One, you're like not going to go into debt. There's no way you're going into that living at home unless you're doing something crazy, right? But then also you get to save money. Okay, so then you're saving money, you're investing it, and you can either just keep building your investment portfolio, or you can turn that into a down payment and actually buy a house, skip the whole renting phase, and just go into purchasing, and then just start your mortgage there. Either way, it's a great start to life.
Life around, pay off debt, stack some money so you can buy a house, right? Invest in all types of assets so you can increase your net worth. But, you know, people are too prideful to have this conversation. And listen, if you can't live back with your parents, if you can get roommates or find other ways to reduce your expenses, right, so you can save and stack more money, it's one of the best things that you can do for yourself.
Yeah, I don't even feel like it's that much of a pride thing. Maybe it is to an extent. I think a lot of it comes down to just kids not having the best relationship with their parents. I found that's a big issue in a lot of cases. So it purely comes from, I can't stand this, I don't want to live with my parents anymore, and they move out, rather than like they want to get their own place that much. But I could be wrong.
Renting an apartment is a fucking scam. Because what the fuck you mean first month and last month's rent? I never lived there last month. I don't know who the fuck lived there last month, but it wasn't me. Why am I sitting here paying first month, last month's rent? And you want me to
I assume that's just like the equivalent of a deposit, which I mean is to make sure you like don't leave the place in a bad state and you don't overstay and stuff like that.
qualify? Oh, you make sure you able to afford 3 times the rent. 3 times the rent. Bitch, what the X is $100? Y'all bitches is so fucking greedy. Y'all just a greedy bitch. Because what? First month and last month's rent? Who lived there last month? Nobody was there last month. I wasn't in there. I don't know who the fuck you had, Jimmy and his 6 kids, bitch. I wasn't in there. And I be seeing apartments, oh, washer and dryer not included. Bro, I can't wash my fucking clothes, but I gotta pay last month's rent? How? Yo, that's fucking foul. I didn't live there. Now I can't wash my fucking clothes.
Looks like the apartment's basically yours. Looks like all I'm missing is your pet rent. What is pet rent? It's the monthly rent you pay for having a pet in the unit.
Wait, is this real? This must be a US thing, right?
Wouldn't I just pay like a one-time pet fee instead? Well, we actually stopped doing that once we found out it was legal to charge you that same amount every single month. So just to be clear, if I moved my partner in, the rent would be the same. Absolutely. But my 8-pound cat would $50 a month, exactly. So does that pay for like perks for everyone's pets, like a play area, or did you see a play area on your tour? No. So
That's fine. But that's really interesting. Wow. So they charge you like this. Like, I can kind of see the point of it, because like pets could lead to like more wear and tear or damage to the apartment, maybe. Pretty interesting rule though. I'm not sure where I stand on that.
oh, if for instance my cat damaged the floor, it would come out of the pet rent, not the security deposit they already gave you, right? Absolutely not. I'm gonna go scream in the bathroom really quick. Perfect, the cafe in the lobby has one, but you have to buy a coffee before you get the door code.
The leasing office at my
So real.
apartments literally said, new year, new rent. And I just want to let them know that's illegal. And
Isn't it wild that rent prices are so bad that genuinely where my brain goes is, oh, okay, but if I lock in a $2,400 one-bedroom apartment and I stay there for 30 years, in 30 years, when rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $35,000, all the young kids are gonna look at me and come to me on the street interviews and be like, how did you do it?
She kind of spitting though. But yeah, unironically, like what's crazy is when if you start talking about like rent in terms of yearly rent, right? So, you know, so 2K a month, right? Well, that's 24K a year, you know, and if you rent for 4 years, which is very possible, it can cost you like 100K. And if you're in an opportunity where you can like stay at home or even like rent in a cheaper place, like that really compounds over a few years.
How did you find a one-bedroom apartment in Toronto for $2,400? Tell us your secrets. That's where my brain goes, which is unwell.
All right, I have a bone to pick, a really fucking big bone, because I keep seeing these ads on my Instagram, right? $1,200 for a 4x4 apartment. That is almost $5,000 for that unit, right? And you can get a 1x1 apartment for around like $1,400, $1,500. So like what? $200 more? For reference, when I was in college, the most I would pay for like a 4x4 is maybe $850 per person. So these units have increased almost $500 in less than 2 years. Because I was not in college 6 years ago. I was in college less than 2 years ago. I paid $900 for a 2x2. Are you fucking kidding me? Keep in mind, where I'm from, these prices are even worse. In the unit that I lived in before I moved out, which is a 4x4, I was paying $890. It is now $1,300. I don't know what fucking crack these leasing.
Yeah, I don't really know how like the 4x4 and 5x5 work. It's hard to really like comprehend that. I guess with the square feet I can kind of tell, but it seems quite small. But yeah, I mean, since like 2020, 2021, everything's just flown up with how much money was printed. Inflation has just gone crazy. And that's just how it is. And wages, you know, they they ain't moving, so good luck.
Offices are smoking, or why our economy is down the fucking gutter. But that's actually fucking ridiculous. My parents' mortgage is less than this tiny fucking shoebox apartment. I don't know.
That's actually a great thing as well. Like a lot of mortgages, because like people bought houses X amount of year ago, and if they locked in like a lower interest rate, genuinely like a 4-bed house mortgage can be cheaper than like a 1-bed apartment nowadays for rent.
How people are even getting away with charging $1,200 a person. Fucking insane.
And another thing, why are you checking my credit when I'm trying to get an apartment? I already gave you my pay stubs for 3 months. I got the money. I ain't trying to borrow no money from you. I'm trying to go to sleep.
That's an interesting point. But to be fair, I guess It's to make sure like you're not in debt or something, maybe. Because in the UK they don't like check your credit score for rent. It's just, do you make enough for the rent? You do. Okay, go. You know. Maybe some references of previous landlord potentially, and they might call up your employer to confirm you actually work there. But yeah, the US has like a really big hold on credit score. Like we have credit scores in the UK, but they're really not that deep. Whereas in the US, I feel like if you have a good or a bad credit score, that can actually just change your life a lot.
I'm trying to watch TV. Like, why you all in my pockets? What you pocket watching me for? Just to approve me. You talk about, depending on your credit, we're gonna add an extra deposit. Ah, fuck that.
How do you guys do it? How do you survive? How, like, I'm apartment shop.
Actually, yeah, I was saying like LA and San Francisco specifically, but I guess, yeah, all of California is probably quite expensive. But I don't know the area that well.
Shopping. I'm looking for a place to live, and it's so out of my reach. I work 2 jobs from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then from 4 p.m. till...
Well, hold up, this guy's not serious, right? There's no way he's clocking in 14 hours a day. That's not good.
11:30 p.m. I literally run to my second job just to be on time, and I still can't afford living in California. Like, I just can't. I know some of you guys have roommates. I can't do that because I take care of my mom, you know? So it's awkward. It's not everybody.
That's so tough, man.
Is willing to share a house with an elderly woman, you know? So how? I feel like a single parent. Like I'm apartment shopping.
No, that's actually a great comparison. Like you are actually similar to a single parent at that stage. If you have to take care of your parent when they're old, that is really difficult. I think that's gonna happen a lot because as cost of living gets like so high, and I think a lot of people, at least here in like UK and like Ireland and stuff, didn't really prepare for retirement that much because they trusted in the state pension, which I guess is like retirement social security or something in the US. But basically previously that was enough to live on, right? So once you reach retirement age, you would get a weekly check from the government, right? But with like inflation and everything, that is just too little money to live on nowadays. And then if you factor in like healthcare costs, whoa, it's over, right? So I think you're gonna see increasingly a lot of kids nowadays have to take care of their parents, which is gonna hit you twofold, right? Because we have a lot less money on average, not overall, but on average than our parents' generation, and that's kind of the first time that's happened in a long time. So normally your parents would be poorer than you because you're in a better economy, you have like better opportunities, and you do better, right? So then you can support your parents, whether financially or with like time and care or whatever. Whereas nowadays we're actually stuck, right? We're really struggling to rent or buy houses, and we don't have excess money to like help out our parents. So it just puts you in a really sticky situation.
Even consider renting a room. And just to give you a perspective, a room here in Thousand Oaks, where I live in Ventura County, is going for $1,200 a room, one room. God forbid I look for a studio, you know, and it's like they want $1,600 for a little tiny studio, and they want you to make 3 times the amount of rent.
I've heard this 3 times rent like sometimes. It has to be like law, I'm guessing.
Perfect credit. God forbid I look for a 2-bedroom or even a 1-bedroom apartment. 1-bedroom apartment goes for $2,300 in my
pretty similar to London, these prices.
Area. A 2-bedroom apartment goes for $3,200. How do you guys survive? Jesus Christ, when's it fucking...
We don't survive. Like, simple fact, you don't. Well, you do survive, I guess, but you have no money for savings. You're not building up a deposit. You're not building up investments. That's just the reality. And you're just hoping that, you know, as time goes on, you get more experience, you get a better job. That's really the reality of the situation.
Living